Good evening. Welcome to Grover Hill Zion United Methodist Church, Thursday evening devotions from the kitchen table. Tonight I want to talk to you about taking up your cross and following Jesus, and we'll see about that. This is from Luke's Gospel, chapter 9, verse 23. Sometimes I think we try to make it doom and gloom to take up our cross, and we think we have to beat ourselves up. But I don't believe that to be true. Anyway, the verse reads, Then Jesus said to the crowd, "If any of you wants to be my follower, you must give up your own way of living and take up your cross daily and follow me." You must live the way I live, the way I teach you to live. We seem to have lost that meaning of the cross today, though, don't we? Or haven't we? It has become a mere religious symbol for us, an icon that's just completely shrouded in religiosity. But in that first century, when someone was carrying their cross through the streets, it meant only one thing, that that person was going to die. So when people heard Jesus say, "If you want to be my follower, if you want to be my disciple, you must give up your own way, take up your cross daily, and follow me," they would have easily have understood what he meant. Sometimes we think of a cross to bear as just a very contentious relationship, a health problem, a challenging job, or some other tough circumstances. You know, what I said a moment ago is that sometimes we think we have to intentionally beat ourselves up. Well, those may be difficulties in life, but they are not our crosses to bear. The cross we must bear is the same for each of us. It speaks of dying to ourselves, dying to our old way of living. And that means simply laying ourselves at the feet of Jesus and say, "Jesus, I want your will more than my own. I want to be more like you than the way I have been living. For in you is life. In my way of living, it just brings misery." Of course, when we talk about bearing the cross and living a crucified life, it sounds rather morbid and unappealing to many folks because we have a false concept of what that means. We think it means isolating ourselves in an ivory tower somewhere and never having fun or smiling or laughing. That is how we imagine ourselves living the crucified life. But that's not what it really means. Not at all. Listen, following Jesus, I've never had such a rewarding life or so much enjoyment than carrying my cross and trying to follow Christ. Writing to the churches in Galatia, the Apostle Paul said, "My old self has been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but it is Christ who lives in me. So I live in this earthly body by trusting the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me." It's Galatians chapter 2. And Jesus said, if you want to find your life, lose it. Luke's Gospel, chapter 9. Lose your life if you want to find life. One of the great paradoxes found in the Bible. Thus, we live the crucified life. It isn't morbid or a miserable experience. It doesn't mean that we've ruined our lives when we start walking with God. It doesn't mean that at all. Rather, it's really when life begins to happen, when life becomes full and meaningful, because we want God's will more than our own will. We'll have an abundant life. And Jesus promised us that as well. In John's Gospel, chapter 10, verse 10. We're living life as it was meant to be lived. It is life to the fullest. Jesus said, I came to give you life, life abundantly, life to the fullest. It's been said that the cross of Christ is the sweetest burden that we ever have borne. It's such a burden as wings are to a bird or sails to a ship, to carry me forward to my destiny, to my haven. And isn't that right? Isn't that right? The cross of Christ is no burden because God's will is better than our own. Better than our own. Oh, we might fight and kick and scream, and sooner or later we'll realize we need to take up our cross and walk with God. Walk with Christ. What about you? Are you bearing the cross and following Jesus? Now, for some, this could mean suffering persecution. For others, it could mean a major change of lifestyle. It could even cost you friends. But we will live life as it was meant to be lived in the perfect will of God. Listen, I'll tell you, since I've followed Christ these many years now, there's no greater joy, no greater reward that I could have possibly experienced. I know what it's like on the other side, following my own desires. And I know what it's like following Christ. There's no greater thing. I'd rather be a Christian no matter what. No matter what. Even in the face of difficult circumstances, I'd rather have God's will be my will. So let us commit ourselves to being disciples of Jesus Christ. Not mere fair weather followers, but let us be true disciples of Christ. Let us take up our cross daily and live for Jesus. Well, have a great and blessed week and just enjoy this great weather. I think it's changing a little bit, but that's okay. I love the seasons. Have a great and blessed week.